Good evening, everybody. This is Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. This is Creative Operation, and tonight I have a tutorial for you. This project was a fun project that I did. I've been making some, calendar projects. It is coming to the end of the year. We all need some new calendars. And as I was digging through my stash, which is like really huge on calendar stuff, I probably could make a calendar every year for the rest of my life and have plenty of stuff to do it. But I am also a planner geek too, so there's that. Anyway, I digress. I made this out of graphic 45 papers. I had two different collections that I have had in my stash for a very, 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 very long time. One of them is Place and Time, and it was done in 2012. One of them is Time to Flourish, and it was in 2014. So you can see I have kept this stuff for a long time. I decided that it was time to bust this out and make a project. So I got this kit, and I'm going to show you a picture of the packaging right now. And in the kit had 12 CD folders, and it had a box to put them in. There were no papers or anything like that, no ribbons, no nothing. It was just the folders and the box. And I, of course, cannot leave anything alone, so I decided to play with it a little bit, and I ended up altering the actual CD folders themselves. And so when I posted this on the Graphic 45 Facebook page, and on my Instagram, I got quite a good response from it, and I had a lot of asking if I was going to do a tutorial. So what I did over the last couple days was I figured out how to kind of recreate the folders and the box, and so that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm not going to use any pattern paper to do that, but I am going to show you how to make the folders and the box. So let's kind of go through this a little bit. The box is obviously different. I did not use it the way that it was in the kit. In the kit, it opened from the front, and you put the CDs folders in. This one, I decided to turn it and cut it down a little bit and make it so that the folders were in the top, and then that way you could see the beautiful folders and the ribbons that I added for closure, and even all of the little charms that I put on the spines. I had like a bazillion butterfly charms, so everybody got a butterfly charm on there. Can you see? I hope you can see that. So every folder got that, but I did cut the box down. I did use some Tim Holtz feet on the corners. And then I had, all kinds of chipboard. I had stickers. I had all kinds of stuff. So I used some chipboard pieces on the front. I did layer them and use some foam tape underneath them. I wrapped some lace that I had in my stash, and I just decorated the front of it, but I think it turned out pretty cute. And then all of the folders just sit really neatly in there. I won't go through all of the folders because basically they are very similar in how they're put together, but like I have these three out right now. I mean, I just think they're just gorgeous. So like the January one here, I just layered a chipboard piece with some foam tape. And then the kit, this particular kit that I altered, had these wooden just discs, and in the kit had those round little month pieces that you were supposed to cut out and use, but I didn't do that. What I did on this one was I used a sticker that was a button from the collections, and then I tied a little twine through that, and then I added that on there and a little die cut here. So every folder starts with the month of January page, and I did have to cut that down a little bit to fit the folder. On the back of every one, I have some of the pattern paper for the month, and then I also had a 12 by 12 sheet of all of these little calendars. So every one has a calendar on the back, and then some have different embellishments and things, and some don't. It just depends on how much of it I had and what the paper looked like and what I thought looked best. Every one of them has a seam binding closure, and the seam binding comes from Kraft Creations, and I have a stash of a lot of the colors and so I just picked colors that I thought matched the month. So I will have links below to the seam binding. I'm pretty sure you can't get this calendar collection anymore, but I know that there's a new one out that I don't have yet, but now that I've used these, I probably should go buy it, right, and replenish my stash, right? Probably should hold off until I use what I've got, right? Okay, so I did use a jump ring and then these little butterfly charms, so every little folder has a butterfly. And then when you open these up, what we have inside, I'll show you. So originally, when you open this up, this piece here that I ended up making a flap was actually adhered down, and it had a little notch in it, and that's where you were supposed to like put a CD or something. I didn't like it because it was a pocket, and I trimmed it down because it went all the way to the edge. And so what I decided to do was I carefully tore it apart and cut it down, and so then that made a flap, and it made, you know, an extra place to put a photograph or whatever. So like I said, I mashed two different collections together, and I think it worked out pretty well. On a lot of the flaps, if I added something to it, I did it so that you could stick a picture behind, so it's only adhered on the edges. And then when I did tear this piece off, it had these tabs. There was one on the top and one on the bottom. I cut the one on the top completely off, and then the one on the bottom I just folded up and I glued to make a pocket. And then what I did was I went to town with all of the little cut aparts, from the collections, and I just added things as much as I possibly could, and I completely exhausted what I had. And then on some of the folders I had these small little envelopes, and I just put like another little cut apart in there. So, you know, we have there's very little of, you know, like stash stuff that I added. It is almost exclusively Graphic 45 stuff. So on this one here, I added a little pocket from the collection, and it was one of the die cut pockets that you could get in the pack. And then I just added a few of the little tags and a few of the stamps, and added that into this pocket here. And watch now, I won't be able to get back in there. Let's wait. And then I have more cut aparts in the back. So like you could put pictures on here, you could do journaling. If you didn't have all of these pieces, you could add plain photo mats. I mean, I love that the collection had some postcards. And then this here is a piece of the pattern paper that was left over, and I just cut it into a tag shape. So there's lots of things, you know, that you can do with this. So let me get this back in here. So that is January, and they're all basically done the same way. So I tore apart all of them and created the extra flap and this little tab that was how the pocket was created into a pocket for the back page. And then it just folds up nice and neat and then stores away. So I'll go through one more with you just so you can kind of see where I'm going with this. But they're basically, like I said, almost all exactly the same. A little bit different, you know, elements, of course. Another little butterfly. And then on the back, like I said, some of them, because this pattern paper didn't really have like a design like this one did, and I didn't really want to cover up the Winter Wonderland. So on this one here, since it was kind of a floral background, I used some of the postage stamps on the back of there, and then a little bitty teeny tiny piece of the paper I cut apart and added to that. So then again, I added seam binding, and again, the seam binding is from Kraft Creations. And then when you open it up, we have the flap, and then we have the pocket, and I've stuffed it full of ephemera. This one had one of the other little envelopes, and I just made a little, out of a piece of scrap cardstock, I made a little card to go in there. I added some stamps in there, and then I have just tons of little cut apart pieces. So really fun project to do. I had a lot of fun doing it. So in this one here, and it depends, like some of them have more cut aparts than others because apparently I have used them at some point for something, and it's been so long I don't even remember now. But you know, so I kind of went with what I had, but I basically, what I had out of those two packs, I completely wiped out. On one of the collections, it had this cut apart, and what I ended up doing, because it was really tall, as I folded the bottom up and created a pocket either on the front or the back, and then just put some more tags in there too. So there's February. Okay, and then March, I'll go through this one here real quick, and then we'll get on with the tutorial. So again, just chipboard cut aparts. We've got our seam binding closure. The back I did a little bit more on there like I did with the February. And then when you open this up on this one, I did use some of the stamps and made a little corner pocket and then added some tags here. And this was a chipboard button, added some twine there. The twine also came from Country Craft Creations as well. And then again, the pocket, I won't pull everything out, and then a pocket here, and I left this one pretty plain. I did put a little bit of a cut apart there to decorate the corner of that. So this is the project. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to make, I'm going to show you how to make a folio, and I will show you how to make a box. But we won't put on the pattern paper, okay? So let me get this out of the way, and then we'll get started. So let's start with the box. Now the box is pretty easy to do. You need some chipboard. Now the kit that I had the box that was already kind of pre-made. You just folded it up and put it together. So we're recreating this from scratch. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to need some chipboard. You're going to need one piece for the bottom that's 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And on this, I'm going to use heavyweight chipboard. The chipboard in the box from the kit was fairly heavyweight too. And I want the bottom to be substantial to hold the weight of all the folios. So I do recommend you use heavyweight for that. But I'm using lightweight chipboard for the sides. And that seems to be plenty good, okay? Now, if you don't want to put the feet on your box, if you do not want to do that and it's just going to sit directly on a desk, you can use lightweight for all of this. It doesn't, you know, that'll be no problem, okay? And then here where I have the CS, that's my abbreviation for cardstock. When you prepare the bottom, the 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, on one side, I want you to go ahead and cover it with the the cardstock that you're going to use for the box, okay? So I left one side. This is prepared with some double-sided tape. So this is prepared. And this part is covered with the Kraft cardstock. This cardstock is coming from Country Craft Creations. Then for the sides, you'll need 4 pieces that are 2 7/8 by 5 7/8. And this is lightweight chipboard. And I have prepared both sides with double-sided tape, okay? So they're all prepared. So this is just plain old, you can see, it's chipboard. All right, so that's what you're going to need for that. And then we'll put that aside, and then we're going to need our cardstock. And again, this cardstock is from Country Craft Creations. This is Kraft, and it works really, really well. You will need 2 pieces that are 7 by 6.5, 2 that are 6 by 6.5, and 1 that is 6 by 6. The 6 by 6 piece is the bottom of the box. We will not score anything on that. The others are going to need to be scored. So let's put that here, and let's grab the first 2 pieces. Now I've prepared one already, but I'm going to show you how to prepare the other one. So you're going to need, obviously, your, I cleaned up my desk and now I can't find anything. You're going to need your bone folder here, and you're going to put the 6.5 by 6 inch piece in the scoreboard with the 6.5 at the top, and you're going to score at 1 and at 3. Take that back. You're going to score at 1/2, and at 3.5. I don't know where I got that other number from. And then you're going to miter the corners of that 1/2 inch tab, okay? So you just grab your scissors and snip those corners. Don't go too crazy with the angle. This is going to attach to the bottom base part of your box, okay? And then, so you need to make 2 of those, and then we're going to take the 2 pieces that are 7 by 6.5, and we'll start by putting the 7 at the top of the scoreboard, and you're going to score at 1/2 and at 6.5, and then turn it so that the 6.5 is at the top, score at 1/2 and at 3.5. And then we're going to have to do a little trimming here. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to make a tab that attaches to the base piece, the 6 by 6 piece of cardstock. You're going to have wings that will attach the sides together, and then you're going to have this 3-inch flap here. That's going to fold over your lightweight chipboard and cover it. So that's why this doesn't have to be covered, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to first, and again, I'm not going to go crazy with the mitering here. I'm going to just kind of keep it on the slight side. And we're going to cut the corner boxes out, those little 1/2 inch pieces. We're going to cut those out like so. And then you're going to miter the bottom tab here. And then you're going to cut straight up that score line, okay? Straight up. And then we're going to turn it because it's going to be easier for me to do it from this direction. Cut straight up and then cut that little piece out, okay? So those two are now prepared. So then let's get rid of our scoreboard here for a second because we're pretty much done with that for a little bit. And we're going to fold and burnish all of our pieces. And do that. Do that. All right. So this is a really easy thing, easy way to make a box and an easy way to cover, you know, the chipboard pieces, which is nice. All right. And the reason why our chipboard is cut a little bit smaller is so that it fits kind of inside this space, almost like a pattern paper mat, and the cardstock will cover everything. So it's nice. And you will see what I mean in a minute. I've done this before and it works really, really well. So let's grab our base. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach these. And here's the other thing too. If you want to cover the bottom of your box with pattern paper, then you can put your tabs on the bottom and then fold them up so that you have a nice rounded corner. If you don't want to cover your bottom with pattern paper, then you can put your tabs on the inside of the box, and then that way the bottom of your box will be nice and smooth. Now, when I'm going to finish this box for another different project that I'm going to work on. So I'm going to go ahead and I do want to cover the bottom with the pattern paper. So I'm going to add my tabs to the underside of that 6-inch piece right here. Okay, so I'm going to turn this so I can do it easier. And then I'm just going to lay this down. And again, we're laying it down. The tabs are now going to be at the bottom of the box, and then I will eventually cover this with some pattern paper. And I believe I did do that with this project as well. Okay, but again, that was a different box. Okay, I didn't make that box. I altered that box. All right, so one on each side without the little side wing tabs. Okay, so the straight ones here, the 6 by 6.5, and do them opposite of each other. Okay, so you want these two first and then the other two. Okay, so they need to be opposite of each other, and you need to make sure that you don't go into the scores. Okay, all right, like so. Okay, so these will eventually fold up and go like that. Okay, so then these guys, same thing, we're going to do it on either side. So again, take your glue. I'm using Art Glitter glue. This is also from Kraft Creations. And I'm going to put that down. Make sure that we're all good and burnished back here. So again, these are on the bottom. Excuse my reach, I need to get my rag. And I will eventually cover that with pattern paper. So that choice is up to you. So let's turn this around again. And I'm going to put glue on this tab. And then the other thing this will do, especially, you know, if you're going to cover that with pattern paper and you put the tabs underneath, when you fold these sides up, you're going to have a nice rounded edge. So the box will look even that more finished when you get done with it. All right. And this is kind of a technique you can use for all kinds of different sizes. All right. All right. So we have our box. This is the outside of the box, and you can see those tabs and the inside of the box here. So then we're going to take our pieces. Now, the bottom piece, again, I did prepare with some double-sided tape already, and then you just, you know, the trick is just to get it off there. I also did, hold on a second, get my little pokey tool in there. Sometimes that, there we go, that makes it a little easier to do. And I did, before I do this, because it's a lot easier, I put sticky tape on the other side, just like this, of the chipboard, laid it on my Kraft cardstock, and then just used my X-Acto knife and cut it out. And then you're just going to put this right in the middle, okay? And line it up just as if it was like a piece of cardstock. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Or a piece of pattern paper, I should say. So you will have a little bit of a border around all of the sides, like a, you know, not a whole lot at all, like a 1/16 of an inch, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our little pieces of chipboard here, our sides, and again, this is lightweight, and we're going to go around and we're going to put those on these inner panels here. Okay, and same thing, these are going to be, they're cut a little bit smaller than the sides, okay? So we're just going to lay those down, and I'm using the score tape because I think this is just going to work out just fabulous. I'm just going to turn it around so I can see what I'm doing and make sure that's kind of centered, and lay that down. Get my scraper here. And like I said, these will fold up and then do that, and then you're going to have a really nice box, okay? And your chipboard will be covered instantaneously, which is really cool. So I keep forgetting to grab my little pokey tool thingy. This is actually like a dental pick kind of type device that I got from Harbor Freight, believe it or not, and it works really good. Sometimes I usually just use my fingers, but it's not working tonight. All right, so lay that one down. Last one. Don't ask me why Harbor Freight has something like this. I'm sure there's a reason for it in the mechanic world, but I don't know what it is. And I'm cracking myself up again. Okay, last piece is going to go like so. And then once you get done with that, then you guessed it, we're going to take off the tape, or take off the lining here, and we're going to just fold that over. Okay, and voila, you can see that your cardstock is covered kind of in one fell swoop. So that's nice. Let's see if I can get that off of there. There we go. Okay, fold that over. Pretty cool, huh? I think so. Now, at this point, after you get this part done, then what you're going to want to do is cover the inside of your box with pattern paper if you're at that point. It's a lot easier to do that if your box is flat. So we're going to cover the inside with, or you're going to do it. I'm not going to do it on camera because I'm just showing you how to make the box. But at this point, that's what you want to do. After you cover and fold over these cardstock pieces over your chipboard, then you're going to want to grab what pattern paper you're going to want to cover the inside of your box with. Okay, and do that now. And the reason why is because when we fold these up, we're going to use these tabs to complete the box. And so you're going to have a nice rounded edge at the bottom, and you're going to have a nice rounded edge on the sides, okay? So you can, let me grab a pencil here, you can cover here, 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 Okay, all the starred pieces you're going to cover with pattern paper. On the back side, before you put your box together, you can do the panels with the wings and you can do the bottom, okay? And then once you get done with that, you can put your box together and then cover this outside here with pattern paper, and you only have 2 pieces to cover with the pattern paper. And then your box is complete. So that's what you're going to do. I'm not going to do that on camera, okay? When you cut the mats for these, you're going to cut them exactly the same as you cut your chipboard pieces, okay? So you will need 2 pattern paper pieces that are 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, one for the inside, one for the underside. And then you're going to need 8 total of 2 7/8 by 5 7/8 to cover the sides of the box. So that's this, it's the same side or size, excuse me. And then I'm going to put a little glue right in the corner there, and then I'm just going to fold these guys up, and this is where little clamps come in handy. Okay, and we're just going to fold up our box. Okay, so I'm putting glue on the tabs, but I'm also putting it like right at the edge, you can see that, of the chipboard, and then that's going to help hold things together as well. All right, I'm going to fold that up and square that up, fold that tab around. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, huh? I love this way of making a box. It works out really well, and everything gets covered. I'll put glue on this one too while I'm at it. It'll be a lot easier. Put it on the chipboard side. I'm going to fold this guy up, and we're going to fold the tabs around. And we'll have nice rounded edges on all 4 corners and top and bottom. And then you'll also have a folded edge, a rounded edge over the top of the box too. So it just makes for a nice finished box. Okay, and that is all there is to that. So that's the box completed. And again, you know, you'll cover with pattern paper, as I told you. And you can put feet on there if you want to. You can do all kinds of different kinds of feet. Some folks are, you know, use beads. If you can't get a hold of the Graphic 45 or the Tim Holtz, you know, feet, you can always, you know, you can use beads. You can use all kinds of different stuff. So we're going to let that sit. I'm going to get this out of the way, and then let's work on the folio. The folio is really easy, and you just need a couple pieces for that. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard here, and what we're going to do, I'm going to put these pieces to the side for a second. So this first main piece here, you're going to need a piece that's 11.5 by 8 5/8, and you're going to need one of these for every folio. So this is going to complete 1 folio. You will need to do this 12 times if you're going to make 12 folios, you know, however many you want to make. That's how many you're going to have to, you know, do. But this is for 1 folio, 11.5 by 8 5/8. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stick in our scoreboard, and we're going to score this specifically in a different kind of way, and I'll show you that in just a second. But we're going to score first this line here, and then we're going to turn it and score the other ones. And I didn't score through here because I used these pieces to make my pockets. So it's not going to score through that whole section, so that you don't have to really worry about messing this up, and you can use the scraps to make your little pocket pieces. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by this. So we're going to take our cardstock, we're going to put it in our scoreboard, and we're going to score at 5 1/8. That's how big these CD folders are, 5 1/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, then you're going to turn it, and there's only one score that's going to go all the way down, and it's going to be the first score here at 1/2. Okay, and that one will go all the way down through the paper. Okay, then you're going to score at 5 5/8, but you're only going to go to that first horizontal score line that we had. Okay, So we're going to score down just to that line. And then 5 7/8, we're going to do the same thing. That's going to give you a 1/4 inch gusset for your folio. And then up in here is where I punched the hole and then set or added the jump ring and the charm to it. And then back over here at 11, we're going to score at 11 just down to that score line. Okay, so the first one again is at 1/2 inch all the way down. That's the only one that goes all the way down. We have 5 5/8 just to the score line. We have 5 7/8 just to the score line. And then we have at 11 just to that score line. Okay, so we did this one first at 5 1/8. We did this one next, this one, and this one. And then what we're going to do is some cutting. So we're going to cut this section out here. And we're going to make a tab here, and then we're going to do a little cutting here. And this is going to be that pocket that is going to be on this side right here. Okay, we're just going to simply fold it up and glue it down. And then we're going to use this piece here to cut a piece that's 6 1/8 minus 1/16 by 1 3/4. And we're going to make that little pocket piece. We're going to make an actual pocket. Okay, so this part here will be an actual pocket. So that's what this piece is going to be right here. And the reason why I'm doing it minus a 1/16 is because I want to make sure that it's going to fit in between the folds of the folio here and here when you fold it closed. Okay, we'll just get that done. Okay, so this is 6 1/8 minus a 1/16 by 1 3/4. You're going to put it in your scoreboard. And you're going to score at 1/2, turn, 1/2, and then turn and go 1/2. You cannot score the 1/2 inches at the same time because it's going to be a 1/16 of an inch shorter, and you're going to mess up your score lines if you do it that way. So you really do need to do the 1/2, turn, 1/2, turn, 1/2 in order to make this pocket proper. And then we're going to just cut the corners. We're going to miter those and fold this. And then that's what's going to make our pocket. Okay? Just like that. And then the last piece that we're going to need is the flat piece that we're going to add. This is 4 1/2 by 5 1/8. And you will need one of these, and then this base piece for every single folio that you make. Okay, so real quick before I get going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put these down here so you can see, and you can take maybe a screenshot. Let me make sure that's in frame. It is. You can maybe take a screenshot or write this down for this. Okay, so that's why we didn't do the scores down, because I wanted to save that paper and utilize it for that. And then you can use the rest of the paper that we cut off from the 12 by 12 piece paper. You can use that for like tags or, you know, photo mats, whatever you want to use. All right. So let's get going with the, now the pocket we've already mitered, and we're just going to fold and burnish. Okay. Just like so. All right. This flap, we're not going to do anything to. It just stays as is. Now, first thing we're going to do is do some cutting. So I'm going to grab my mat, and I'm going to grab, oops, I keep hitting stuff. I am so sorry, guys. I'm going to use my mat here, the ruler on my mat. And what I'm going to do is, this is the 1/2 inch score that goes all the way down. I'm going to measure over 1 1/4 inches from that score line and draw a little tick mark. Okay. And then my ruler and my straight blade. And then what you're going to do, the 1/4 inch scores here from this first one here, we're going to cut from here to that 1 1/4 inch mark. Okay, so make sure it's the first of those two in the middle there. I'm going to put my blade there just to make sure, and then I'm going to line that up with my little tick mark, and whoops, and after I lose my place, I'm going to do it again. And I'm just going to slice that clean through like that. Okay, Make sure it's clean through. All right. And then if you want, you can still use your straight blade and you can cut that out. I'm just going to go ahead and grab my scissors and I'm just going to cut that piece completely out. So I'm just going to go up the score line like so. Maybe all the way. And then we should have that piece right there, okay? We've cut this piece completely out and we can use that later for a pocket. Now, obviously I didn't do that for this tutorial, but that's what I want you to do. So now you have this. Now we're going to cut some miter, or we're going to miter some tabs here. So we're going to do that here. That's where our flat page is going to attach, okay? Our pocket, this angled pocket here, we're going to go and miter that one, and then we're going to miter the bottom one, and then we're going to cut this guy completely out. Like so. All right. Get rid of these pieces. And then what you're going to do is we're going to flip it over, okay? We're going to fold and burnish all of our score lines. And there it is. I'm looking at the wrong side of my desk, okay? This is a 1/4 inch gusset. So again, I'm recreating that CD holder that we haven't seen in, 100 years, right? I don't even think I've actually used a CD in years. Kind of crazy, huh? So that's how that's going to go. So this tab will just glue up to the back base and create that pocket right here. Okay. So then let's grab this. We're going to add this page to the folio. Now, if you want a nice rounded edge, we can do that. Or you can just glue it right on the top. It doesn't really matter for the folio because either way you're going to see an edge one side or the other, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the top here. And then that way, that whole middle panel will be open and ready for our pocket. And that is just going to attach here. Okay. So we attached that, and we're going to put glue here, and we're just going to glue that pocket up like so. And I can see that I didn't quite cut that straight, so I'm going to really carefully just take that sliver off and even that up. Okay, and then we have the middle section here where we're going to add our pocket. And our pocket is just a tiny bit smaller than this middle panel. And that's going to be perfect so that we can have it right in between the scores, and this folio is going to fold very, very nicely. Okay, so I'm just putting it right in between the scores, right to the bottom, and there you go. Pattern paper that I used, I just put it all the way completely down into the pockets, which cover up all these tabs, and then your tags don't get hung up on anything. Okay, and then we'll just do a little glue here, and a little glue here, and fold that little pocket up. And all of this because I decided to tear apart a CBD folio, huh? Yep. I had that kit. I don't know if I told you this. The kit that I had actually had dated stuff in it from 2005. That's how long I've had that kit. So when you fold your folio, it'll fold like this, and then it'll fold like this, and voila, there it is. Okay. So there's that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to cut the pattern paper for this, how I usually do it. Let me grab a scrap of pattern paper, or of something different colored. Let's see what I've got here. Ooh, let's use this. This will be nice and bright. Okay, nope, not that. All right, so this particular pocket at the bottom should measure 5 1/8 because it should go to that score line. It's the same size, 5 1/8 by 3 3/4. But we're gonna want, no, not 3 3/4, 3 1/2. 5 1/8 by 3 1/2. So let's go ahead and cut a piece that's 3 3/8 by 5. So the pattern paper for the pocket, 3 3/8 by 5. Okay. And then if you look, if we were to lay this down, if it was a square pocket, then you would have this nice edge. Where's another piece of paper? Let me show you here. A nice edge at the top. Okay, right there, here, and here, which is what you want when you're matting a pocket. So we're going to add a little tick mark about 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch. So I'm just eyeballing it just to make sure that the angle is good on both sides where it's lining up. Okay, so that I have an appropriate match. So I'm just from the cardstock, I should say, I'm going in about 1/16 of an inch. Okay, does that make sense? And I'm making a little tick mark on my pattern paper. Okay, top and bottom. And then I'm going to just whack that off. So I'm going to get my straight edge again. And I can't see my tick marks. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness. It's so light. I should have picked a lighter piece of paper. I definitely should have done that. Okay, so go like that, and cut that off. And then that should make, and it did, the perfect little mat for your pocket. Okay. Ta-da! So that's how you would do that. So that is how you make the folios. And then now all you have to do is do your decorating and make your stuff. So just remember, if you're going to put a closure on here, that you need to add the seam binding under the pattern paper on the front and then the back covers. Okay. And then you can just go to town decorating. And then when I was all done decorating, that's when I decided to poke a little hole. And I have a really tiny hole punch that I punched. So, I mean, that's not enough room really to set an eyelet. I was kind of afraid it was going to mess up the score lines. So I just poked a little hole. I added a jump ring, and then I added my little butterfly charms to the spine. And I just thought that was a nice little touch. So then these will fit in this just perfectly with lots of room to spare. And like here, what I wanted was, this box was pretty big, but I wanted the fluff. I wanted to show these off, and I wanted to see the front of my folios when I you know, decided to turn the box the other direction. So that's where we're at with that. So that is my tutorial. I hope that made sense. As always, please, if you have any questions whatsoever, let me know. But that is basically it. So if you're going to do a monthly thing, you'll need to make 12 of these. This would be really good. I was thinking about ideas. So obviously a calendar is a great idea. Baby's first year. You can do school years. Anything like that would be absolutely amazing with this particular project. So there it is. So this is my my altered CD folio in box project, and I did it with graphic 45 pattern papers that I've had in my stash forever and ever and ever. And the tutorial, in the tutorial, I used cardstock, chipboard, seam binding, and art glitter glue from Kraft Creations. So I will have links to those products down below. Kraft Creations also has a wonderful pattern paper collection for the year called Remember the Time, and I'll put a link to that too, because I think that would be absolutely stunning in this particular project. I honestly, the papers I used here were from my stash, and they were dated in 2012 and 2014. So I don't even know. You might be able to find them on Amazon or whatever. I have no idea. I've had them for a very, 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 very long time. So, but I do know that there is another calendar collection out now. By Graphic 45, and you can get that. I don't know the name of it, but I can look it up, and I will have at least the name down below. I don't know where I got it. I didn't get it. I don't have it. I don't know where you can get it. I think I've seen it around town. I don't know. Anyway, now I'm getting all tongue-tied, so I think it's time to stop. So I will see you guys again with another tutorial. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.